can I have another wine?
You're listening to the Giggle Gang podcast.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
If you want it, just come get it.
A Giggle Gang podcast.
Just be myself.
For fuck's sake.
You know, sometimes people pay me to say ridiculous shit, and sometimes I just say it for free.
Jesus Christ.
You're listening to the Giggle Gang podcast.
Some of them are.
Right. Why do you still have your dad's clothes?
Well, my dad used to play in pubs and clubs, working men's clubs in the 70s. And he
As a musician, or?
Yeah, he was an organist,
Okay.
like a classically trained pianist. And every Saturday night he would be out, covering himself in Old Spice, wearing a ruffle with crushed velvet and a dicky bow. And it kind of stuck in my mind, because it was that working men's club, comedian performer type outfit.
Okay.
And then some years ago, I did a gig in, I think it was Bridlington. Yeah, all the best places.
All the big lights.
The guy who ran it, he ran gigs, but he'd won somewhere like in about 1989 or 1990. He won some young comedian. You know, I can't remember what the prize was. It's like like BBC's new comedian of the year they used to do. It's that kind of thing, but it was somewhere down at the Hackney Empire.
Okay.
So it was like the next big thing, and then he sort of I think he got disillusioned with it and just went, "I'll just run gigs." And I did a gig for him, and he gave me a critique after, which I like it when somebody gives you a critique rather than they come over and tell you what they don't like about it.
Yeah.
Because he kind of he did that thing where he built me up and he went, right, there you go, this 70% there. But I would think about wearing an outfit, because I used to just wear what I would go down to the Alma in, which is a heavy metal pub in Bolton. And it seemed to be that the first 5 to 10 minutes of the set, at least the first 5, people would be looking at you thinking, they'd be getting used to the visual of you, because you're not one of them.
Yeah.
And that's a barrier.
Okay.
So he said you might want to start wearing an outfit, because I was doing a magic show dressed in like...
Right, okay. I didn't realise you were doing a magic show. I thought you were doing comedy.
It's not a magic show. If you ever watched it, it's not magic.
Right.
It's quite clear. It was a rabbit from the hat.
Okay.
I used to do. And to put it in context, the rabbit is kind of like the rabbit from Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Right.
So I have a fight with the table, and then end up killing it with a 9mm pistol and squirting blood all over myself. Which I used to really enjoy doing that back in the day.
How long ago was this?
I think the last time I did it was about 8 years ago.
Okay. So it's been some time. And where were you getting the blood from? Was it fake blood in a pistol? Or what
It was a mixture. See, I'm giving away industry secrets here.
Please do.
It was Vimto mixed with, just a thin tomato puree down with Vimto to give it a nice thick red colour.
Really?
But unfortunately, I only had 2 ruffles that were my dad's. One was like this, and the tomato puree rotted it over time. So I'm just completely covering myself in it. And then I had to wash it out with Varnish Action, and it completely rotted all of the lovely pleated layers type stuff in the middle.
But it still looks nice.
Oh no, this is the one. This is the replacement of the other one. It's a big rift right up the middle of it, like where it tore.
So you had to buy a replacement shirt.
It's a button on.
Ah,
it's a button on ruffle. Yeah, all the industry secrets here.
Look at that. I was just about to say, I was like, where do you even buy shirts like that?
Oh, eBay now.
eBay.
It's doubled the price of my outfit, that though. I used to work in a charity shop and £3.75 top to toe. But now more like about £11.75 for that.
Jesus. So what are you doing for work? Are you still looking after the guy with no fingers?
He's got fingers, they just don't work.
Right.
He has. Yeah.
Can you tell the story for everyone else about how he lost his fingers? Because was it funny?
No, it's quite tragic actually.
Tell it anyway, and I'll be the judge.
Well, it was a motorbike accident. He broke his neck in a motorbike accident.
Yeah.
So it left him tetraplegic, which is the stage between paraplegic and quadriplegic.
Definitely not as funny as I remember.
No. I'll be careful what I say, because my job's coming to an end, and I'd like a reference from it.
Does he like you? Do you think you're a good guy?
It's difficult to get. I think so. I'd like to think so.
I'm sorry, I've just got a chocolate chip thing in my throat.
I'm looking at them thinking... Still
Ryan walked out with cookies, but did leave us with a copy of his book. But you yourself have also... Are you publishing a book, or is it...
I self-published this week. It's one of those stories. I wanted it to be published for Halloween because of the subject matter. It's in the horror genre. And then that didn't happen. So I thought, right, well, what I'll do is I'll publish it on Friday the 13th.
Okay.
Right? When all the stars are out of alignment, everything's against me, I'll publish against the odds. That didn't happen.
When was the last Friday the 13th?
December.
Okay, right.
And well, basically, I decided, right, it's Christmas week, it's leading up to Christmas, I need to get it out there for people who've got expendable income.
Yeah.
And then I hit every technical difficulty I could. It wouldn't accept my artwork. I couldn't get...
How were you trying to publish it? Through Amazon?
Yeah. Everything I read about the genre I'm writing in said, do it yourself. Don't waste your time going through any kind of publishers, or just self-publish.
Yeah.
Because in the horror genre, it is by far and away the one that sells the most, and there is a market for it, albeit like a handful of sympathy sales at the beginning and then nothing.
Yeah.
But that's vanity publishing for you, isn't it?
Everyone's been telling me to write a book, but I have nothing to write about. I don't.
Well, to be fair, it was triggered. God, it's one of them stories. My local pub, which closed 5 years ago because somebody drove a Land Rover through the front of it, which was on the front of Chorley.
Yeah, it was. Because don't you run a comedy gig there as well?
Not anymore.
Was it not happening on the night that the Land Rover was...
It was the Halloween special, or October.
Yeah.
And I was at home picking an outfit when I got a phone call off my then girlfriend who said, "You're not at the pub, are you?" And I'm like, "No, why?" "Well, somebody just put a car through the front of it."
But why? Do you know the story?
Well, it's a very tragic story. I'm full of tragic stories today, mate.
This can just be the Tragic Story podcast.
It's Christmas. Apparently he'd been barred from the pub.
What?
He'd been barred from the pub.
So he drove his car through the front of you, so I'll show you.
Well, we think it was a suicide bid because somebody caught him a month or two earlier drinking bleach.
Okay.
Because they'd spotted the bleach spots on his jumper.
How does that mean he was drinking bleach though? Because I've spilled bleach on myself before and never drank it.
Oh no, he was drinking. He was trying to kill himself.
Oh right, they saw him drinking it as well?
Well, that was. I think what they did was they spotted that and did some investigation. It turns out he's been drinking it.
Right. Okay.
I don't know. It's weird because I know people who knew him who said he was an all right guy. Well, mostly. That's what most of them said. And then he got barred. I think it was. We used to go down on a Sunday night. It was called Dog Sunday. It was at the Dog and Partridge.
Okay.
And it was acoustic sessions. So when I wasn't gigging, I would go down and do that because it's performance, isn't it? And he got barred from the Sunday night, so I don't...
But you don't know why?
No. I mean, like, basically the mantra of the Dog and Partridge, and you used to have it painted on the wall, is don't be a dick.
Okay. That would be the only reason you could be barred if you were a dick.
Yeah, he started dicking around somehow. He got barred. And then they said, for about 3/4 of an hour before he actually crashed into the pub, he was driving around and around the area.
Okay.
Looking...
For somewhere to crash his car
Well, looking for the opportunity to do it, I think.
Right, okay. What would have been blocking it? What was in front of the pub? Because I've not been there.
Well, it's...
I feel like I'm playing police interrogation.
It's on an awkward corner.
Okay.
Now, I thought he'd come... There's like 3 ways of getting at it. There's one where it comes under the motorway and curls around the front of it.
Yeah.
Which is the hardest way to hit it, and which is apparently the one he did.
Right.
You can come at it from that way and come round, which is easier to hit it, or you can come straight down. And he took the hardest one. I mean, it goes to show that mental health is an issue, because he tried committing suicide by driving a Land Rover through the most brittle pub in Bolton. Through where there used to be doors. Right, so basically, when they pulled the Land Rover out, it was hardly
a scratch on it.
And the pub was being held up with bloody scissor jacks.
So when you were in there...
Well, I wasn't actually in there.
No, but when you were in the pub at other points, had you ever looked around and thought, this thing could fall at any point?
Well, it's a pub that was made up of 3 different buildings.
Okay.
And what happened was, Back in 2008, I think just before the bank crash, 2008, 2009.
Yeah, that was global financial crisis.
The whole area was scheduled to be redeveloped.
Okay.
Which they put all the posters up now saying they'll redevelop it. What happened was Cameron got in, and he said, "No, we're stopping everything on a local scale. There's no funding for it." So I was quite a close friend of the landlord, and he was saying, "Well, thank God the Tories got in because we've been given a stay of execution." Right. And I didn't think I'd ever say that, you know. Because he put everything on hold. He said, we've got at least another 5 years. So we got till 2015, which coincidentally was when the guy stuck the Land Rover through the front of the pub. So they did get 5 more years. It's just it wasn't ended by the Tories this time. It was ended by somebody with mental health issues who was looking to commit suicide.
So what's happened to that guy now?
Well, it's just the thing about it is...
he's barred from every pub in Bolton now.
Oh no, it gets much worse. It gets
no.
much darker.
Keep going.
Yeah. What happened was, he got out of the Land Rover. Now, just to put this in perspective, I knew the guy who was behind the bar, who gave me a 5-star review for my boot, by the way. And the landlord and his girlfriend were stood on the other side of the bar, rolling cigarettes, and they said, "It's quiet, do you want to go for a fag?" And he said, "Yeah, all right, give me enough time to roll a cig." They went outside, they lit up, and he said literally within 30 seconds, the Land Rover had come through the wall and was now parked where they'd been stood.
And there was no one in the pub at the time?
Well, the pub was empty, so they took a moment of like, right, well, let's go and have a fag while there's nobody about.
Right.
There was just a landlord, his girlfriend, and the guy behind the bar.
And the guy behind the bar was okay? Because he was.
Well, they all went out for a cig.
Oh, they all went out, so there was no one in the pub?
Now, when I went down to the pub that night, and they weren't letting anybody in. It was all held up with scissor jacks.
Except the guy with the Land Rover, he sort of forced his way in.
Well, they had to wrestle him to the ground. He tried running away.
Oh, my.
And he said it was only when I wrestled him to the ground, I'm thinking, he's barred from here. Because he got out all confused and said, "Oh, I need to go." And they're like, "No, you need to wait till the police get here." And then the three of them wrestled him to the ground and sat on him till the cops got there.
No way.
He said, at that point I realised, yeah, this guy's barred from here. But what happened was, there was 3 different insurance companies involved, because the landlord lived in the upstairs premises, so he had personal insurance. The brewery had insurance on the pub. And of course there's the insurance from the car. But they were all saying it's a suicide bid, so none of us are paying out. So they're all arguing between them who should be paying, and they're all saying, well, it's a suicide bid, so you're not covered. So as they were doing this, arguing about it, the guy who'd done it, who was sitting around waiting to, I think he went into court just before December for like whatever the preliminary thing is they do to be sentenced in January, or
right,
I can't remember.
Yeah,
but they basically bailed him.
Came before a magistrate, paid his bail, and then he'll come back for sentencing.
Yeah, it was all pending. But as he found out from his lawyer, in the meantime, because like when I went in the day after, where the Land Rover had been was where they'd been sat.
Yeah.
But where the barman had been stood, there were chunks of masonry on every single shelf. So he'd have been hit by the brickwork and killed. So they were saying, had they been there 30 seconds earlier, they'd all be dead. So he was looking at jail time. And at that point, he went and committed suicide. So after him saying, no, I wasn't trying to commit suicide and doing all that, he then found out he was going to go to prison and committed suicide.
So hang on. Why was he going to go to prison there? Because he didn't kill anybody, did he?
No, but it's negligence.
Right, okay.
It's what they call, I think it's willful negligence, is it?
Okay.
It's like, well, you can't possibly think sticking a car through a pub when it's open with people in is it going to lead to other people.
Absolutely.
But to be fair, they are trying to rationalise mental illness, which and suicide, which I don't.
So, did the insurance companies pay out? How is that pub owner?
Well, this is it. You see, me and the rest of the acts were stood in the pub in the car park across from the pub, watching all this going on.
So hang on, you were scheduled to do the comedy night there like 2 hours later?
Yeah.
So there could have been, did he come in like stage side? Like where was his point of entry?
He came in through the tap room, they call it. There's
okay.
like a tap room and there's a snug at the back, and then there's a main room which is where we perform.
Yeah.
And he came in through the tap room, and there used to be double doors there, which is where we managed to get in so easily.
Yeah.
He ended up parked in that bit. Like I said, I went in the day after and the place was devastated. There was masonry all the way through. But there was I mean, I didn't get a mention in Chortle. I hasten to add. Sometimes front page of Chortle. Sometimes comedy is a genuine car crash. The picture of the Land Rover sticking through the front. No, I didn't get any.
No,
what happened was the insurance companies were fighting about it, and what I did, out of deference to the landlord, because I've been running the show there since 2012.
Right.
Since it was the Mayan prophecy comedy night, and then it was the post-Mayan after they didn't kill us. Or maybe it was a Mayan. Maybe it was a Mayan from Farnborough trying to kill us. So I thought, well, I'll leave it, because it started there. We'll see how long. There was going to be like a resting period of like where they go in and check the structural damage to the building and go, right, you can go in or you can't. Because bearing in mind, he lived upstairs and that was it. He was homeless.
Oh my God.
From that moment, and he had no business because it's the pub that was shot, and they were still trying to charge him business rates, Bolton Council, for for something that wasn't trading. So
what?
Yeah, this is.
So what happened to him? I'm worried about that landlord.
Well, they ended up like sort of couch surfing, and then ended up getting a house. I mean,
and did insurance pay out? Did he get his pub back? Or
no, the pub is they've just gone in now to start taking bits out of it to knock it down. The whole area is what was scheduled to be happening in 2008.
Yeah. Is
now going to be happening over the next 2 years.
Right. Okay.
Well, they say that. I mean, they'll probably knock it down, and then it'll just sit there for another 10 years.
Yeah. But is he all right? Did someone pay him out for his loss?
He did get some kind of payout in the end.
Right.
And he set up doing a gardening business. It was.
He's moved on with his life.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the best thing that could have happened to him.
Yeah, but I mean, the problem is we lost the community. Because the great thing about the Dog and Partridge was, like I say, you have "Don't be a dick" on the wall.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a safe haven. You could go there and know that you wouldn't be pestered by the usual rabble.
Yeah.
That frequent Bolton.
Yeah.
Well, we did get them sometimes because they don't like it as well. They come down there as a bit of a sanctuary to go and hang out with the musical crowd and that, because it's.
So not only did you lose a pub, but you lost a hangout spot, a community.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, I used to do. They had 2 festivals a year called Dogstock, which was on the August bank holiday, and Howling. Was it Howling Wolves? Hush Puppies and Howling Wolves, which was the acoustic version. Yeah. And that would be on Maybank holiday. Or have I got those wrong? They might have been the other way around.
Yeah.
And I used to compare those because I was doing the comedy night. I said, why don't you come and compare it? So I did, which is a long weekend, but free beer. Free beer. I live just up the road. All the stars are in alignment.
So how long have you lived in Bolton? Because you're probably the most Bolton person I know.
Oh, yeah, well, God. I've actually lived there for longer than I've not.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was 17 when I moved to Bolton.
From where?
From West Horton, which is about 8 miles away.
Okay.
If that.
So you haven't moved far?
Oh, no, centuries. I've moved centuries away.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s, like with West Horton, I moved to Bolton because they didn't cater for people like me. In West Horton.
Right.
Like,
who are they catering for?
Well, they don't just stiff up themselves. It's kind of a split between inbreds who've been there forever. Yeah. Inbred families who have been, you probably see them in the bloody Doomsday Book. And then, as I was a kid, they started to build, my parents moved on to the first new estate in West Horton. And after that, it was just one after the other. You see the green belt slowly disappear into big sprawling metropolis-type Hornby Railway set houses. And but that brought kind of Manchester overspill. So West Horton's now got a gene pool, which it didn't have before. I say that, it's 2 different types of inbreeding have met, which I think cancels each other out somewhere along the line.
Yeah, absolutely.
Makes breeding, some kind of breeding in there. But yeah, when I was a kid, long hair, combat gear and that, and I'd get shit walking down the street. People would shout stuff at you.
Like what, for example?
Oh, AP and stuff like that.
Right.
Dirty, smelly grab, all that kind of crap. And you're like, this is a day-to-day occurrence. I moved to Bolton. None of that. Yeah. Nobody cares. Nobody's interested. They had a whole scene of people like that. That's when I said they catered for people like me. There was a whole scene, music-wise and everything. So I'm like, yeah, I'm sold. I'm out. I'm off to the big smoke.
This is it, the big smoke of Bolton.
And never went back.
So how? Because I'm trying to get an understanding. Because what really interests me and fascinates me is growing up in the UK.
Yeah.
You can be within a train ride, like other places and other almost cultures are accessible. If you think about even Manchester and Liverpool or Manchester and Warrington, you know what I mean? It's almost like you're going to a completely different place, but it's so accessible. Whereas for us, where we live, there was so much distance to get anywhere else that wasn't where we were. So you just stayed where you were. But was it a case like how often would you venture out into Manchester, or you wouldn't really?
I mean, as a kid, every Saturday morning.
Okay.
The bunch of us used to either get the train, so we just go through Hagfold and Atherton and count the washing machines and hoovers all the way up the side of the embankment.
I've been to Atherton as well.
Yeah.
Interesting place, and Tilsley.
It's not really changed much. Nothing. Hagfold. With such names as Slack Lane, Slag Lane and Bag Lane, and we're like, in the 80s, that's just comedy gold.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't think about this when you were naming the streets, did you? But yeah, we used to go down to Manchester every Saturday on the train or the bus and go to Piccadilly Gardens. There was I can't remember the name of it, a record place on Piccadilly Gardens. It might have been called Piccadilly Records.
I think it could have been, because they're trying to bring it back.
There were loads of like, interesting bookshops and collectible places, and they had a market up the side of...
And that was when Piccadilly Gardens was a garden.
Yeah. no, it's just a place for armed police to wander around.
Yeah. Why do you think they got rid of it? Because it cost too much to upkeep it?
Do you know, I don't know. I really don't know. Because, like I said, when I was a kid, we used to come to Manchester all the time. Then I moved to Bolton, and then not quite as much. And it's only recent years, because I was through doing gigs. We used to, back in the early 2000s, we used to start doing the... it was the Britain's Protection back then. The
Comedy Balloon.
Comedy Balloon.
Yeah. Jason Cook and Dave Turquoise.
Yeah, and Dan Sharples.
Yeah.
God, who else? There's a couple of other names. Some of who have gone on to greater things, and some of them have just disappeared. Some of them are dead.
Yeah.
That's it. Let's just keep it down on the baseline. So
Let's just keep the tragedies to a minimum.
talking about car accidents. The most interesting thing that happened to Bolton. Yeah. I'm not suggesting there should be another Lockerbie, but it's on a flight path. You don't have to go out your way.
What is Bolton like best known for?
I'd say Bolton is best known for its football team.
Okay.
Because
Bolton City Wanderers.
in and out of Bolton Wanderers, in and out of the. It's a rags to riches to rags tale. It is. They've always like, we're in the Premiership. We're in the. Oh no, we're not. And then we are again, and then we're not. And yeah.
Wasn't there a scare that there was a risk of it all going tits up for Bolton?
Many times, my son was working for them.
But just recently, when Bury went under, weren't we at risk of losing Bolton as well?
Oh, Bury. Well, Bury's no loss, is it? The clue's in the name of the title, just Bury. Well, there used to be.
That's terrible.
No, there was. They changed the name because somebody put it on Facebook, and it was the PDSA had a shop in Bury Town Centre, and it said PDSA helping Bury animals. And it did the rounds on Facebook, and everybody would come and take photographs, and then they changed the name because they realised. But they've been up there for about 10 years. I didn't think that one through.
They weren't very quick at the change.
But yeah, Bolton. Bolton, it's weird. It seems to be, when I was a kid, whenever Bolton played any other town in Lancashire that began with a B, somebody got stabbed.
What?
If we're playing, I mean, we're going back some time, but since we used to play Bury, because Bury are nothing short of a Sunday League team.
Yeah.
We left them behind long time, but Burnley. Blackburn, Blackpool, there would always, somebody would get really seriously up when we played Blackpool, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's just, you begin with B and you're from Lancashire, right, so you're going to get it. Doesn't make any sense.
Wouldn't there be more of a rivalry, say, between Lancashire and Yorkshire?
Yeah, but I don't think they're thinking that far ahead.
Right.
I don't think they're thinking big. I think they're thinking, right, who can we travel to on the bus and stab?
It's got to begin with B, and we have to be able to catch the
Oh,
bus.
Blackpool, Blackpool's a fair way off.
Yeah.
I can remember, like, my dad used to go and watch the match whenever they played Blackpool, and then me, my mother and my sister would go around all the cheap shops. And then on the way out, they stopped, this was about 1978, they stopped every single car on the way out and searched it because somebody got stabbed. I'd never seen anything like it. But you know.
So the police. Hang on. So you didn't even go to the football game?
No, I never liked football.
Okay.
I'm from a family of Wanderers fans. I've got no time for football whatsoever. Can't stand it.
So you were just driving home from the shop, and the police stopped you and searched.
Oh no, I
you?
was about 10 at the time.
Right. Okay. But they were stopping and searching every car, whether you were at the game or not.
Every car that came out of Blackpool that day got pulled into a pub car park and searched.
Wow. And what did they find? Anything exciting?
Not with us. I mean, lucky if we haven't even been picnicking, so we didn't have a knife. Surprised they didn't give us one. There you go. You might need that then if you haven't got.
Do you feel like the stabbing problem? Because I've seen a lot of posters around Manchester saying Manchester is knife-free Manchester, and possibly knife-free Bolton. I'm not too sure. But the stabbing problem it's all you hear about in London. It's getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Do you feel like up here maybe they're on top of it and it's on the decline?
It's a weird one. Bolton it's always been more like hitting people with lumps of wood and stuff rather than stabbing.
Okay.
They never. I don't know. I'm not saying there hasn't been a stabbing culture. That was usually like amongst the football hooligans, but
they've definitely calmed that right down.
But yeah, I think it was more like hitting people with hammers and stuff like that. Because there was a statistic some years ago about, I think it was in London, if you had trouble, we're going back to the sort of late 90s, you're more likely to have somebody pull a gun on you. Whereas if it was the Midlands, it would be some kind of bladed weapon, and if it was up this end of the world, it'd be a bat or a hammer or something blunt.
So it just got like worse and worse. And if it was Scotland, it was a hard baguette, just swinging it around.
Scotland, it's probably just food. They just kill you with the sheer fat content of it.
It's a can of Urn Brew.
Because a couple of visits to Edinburgh, and you get to see
the sights and smells.
Well, battered Mars bars.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. The best one, deep fried ice cream.
Yeah.
Battered ice cream. I'm like, how do you do that?
It's quite nice. Have you tried it?
No.
Oh,
I can't remember. I did try something that was battered.
Deep fried Mars bar is quite common. That's good.
But to be honest, most Edinburgh's I spent thoroughly drunk. It's a working holiday, so it's like
it's like with me for the past 2 years.
It's just like literally we do a 5 o'clock show and we're hitting the bar.
Yeah,
I've been taking my first pint on stage with me, and then carry on drinking till 3 o'clock in the morning, get up at midday and do it all over again. 2 shows.
Happy days. Did you enjoy Edinburgh the first time you went?
Well, the first time I went, I did it sober.
Okay. That's not like you.
No, not at all. What happened was, that was another disaster. We have more disaster stories for you. Somebody gave me a car, and it was a beautiful car. It was a Sierra Estate in beautiful condition. And then, about 3 days before I was due to go to Edinburgh, the exhaust fell off.
Exhaust fell off?
Well, the back end of it came off, but I couldn't get the middle bit off.
Okay.
And it would have cost me £100 and something to put it right, and that was kind of my spending money when I was away, because I wasn't working or anything at the time. I wasn't rich. So what we had to do is go in my friend's car, and he was scheduled to do the last week, but it had been brought forward because somebody dropped out, and he was doing like the 5-day preview week. They have like a 5-day preview week beforehand, and then it starts at that weekend. So we went and did the preview week, and then the first week, and we were supposed to be. I found a campsite. But what happened is, because he'd been brought forward, he didn't get paid until the next week. And it turned out he had just about enough money to go home the day after we got there, because he couldn't even afford to feed himself for a week.
He couldn't afford to keep himself there.
So he said, right, I've got enough money for the coach home. I'm going to leave you with the car, because I'd already paid for the first week's worth of camping.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, crap. So he went home.
With a plan to come back, or going home?
No, he couldn't afford it. So he went home, and I'm like stuck there thinking, right, well, I've paid most of my money into the first week of camping, because he was supposed to be paying for the second week.
Yeah.
So I'm going like, right, well, let's play a game of like, see how long it takes you to notice I'm still camping here. And the answer is 1 day.
Oh, really?
They're pretty hot to trot up there. It's money, isn't it? Let's be honest. And then,
so as soon as you were supposed to be out, they went round and said who's out and who's not out?
Well, I came back and there's a red ticket on my tent tied on it. It said, message for you in the reception.
Oh, no.
And I'm thinking, well, that's odd, because I didn't tell anybody I was coming here, right? So this message is from you.
Yeah.
So I went,
Did you ignore it?
okay. I got up in the morning, put everything in the car and drove away.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because you couldn't afford to pay for more camping?
No, well, it was like something... What annoyed me is, and this is the first time up there, is I went online and I looked up camping prices.
How long ago was this?
2003.
Okay, right.
And you kind of watch it and it was like, oh yeah, summer, and August, a big spike in prices. So you're like, wow. It's like £12 a night for me on my own, and something like £15 for two of us. And I'd pay like £15 for like a week for two of us, and he'd book it off. So it's not like you could get a refund. So I ended up, it was in a Nova as well, which is a little tiny car.
Yeah, Holden Nova.
Vauxhall Nova.
Oh yeah, it would have been the same. Yep. That was the first car I had, a 1995.
Oh, I loved it.
Vauxhall Nova.
Beautiful car. I used to do this thing, and maybe I shouldn't really admit to this on a podcast, but whenever I got to a point where my car I'd take it for an MOT,
yeah,
and they say, no, you're going to have to scrap it, I would then go on the moors about 3 o'clock in the morning and see what the car could actually do. Because up on the moors, anything that's coming, you can see it in the dark, so I would just chuck it around and see what it would take to tip it over, and it wouldn't. But I couldn't believe it's like shit to a blanket. I'm like, this is an amazing car.
So you basically just go go-karting?
Yeah, just take it over the moors. Like, there's a Roman rod. Take it over the Roman rod and see what it takes to pop a suspension.
And did you have anyone there ready to pick you up if you fucked it, or you just go and just think about the problems later?
Yeah. Well, it's within walking distance, but by that I say about 8 miles.
Okay.
So
8 miles. Jesus.
Well, something like that. Maybe not in a straight line, but
that is hectic.
But yeah, it was nice. And even the shittest Ford Fiesta I had, even that wouldn't tip over.
What? So you were trying to roll them?
Well, I was just trying to see what it would do before, and it just slide. It does a bit of sliding, but yeah.
And was it fun? And then what would you do with it after that?
I'll go and scrap it.
Oh, right, okay.
Because literally, I was trying MOT it 2 weeks before the MOT run out, and then they'd say, oh, forget it. It's a tragic story.
How many times have you got a car to the point where you've had to scrap it?
Well, I used to have what I would do is my approach to motoring would be to buy a car for 250 quid.
Okay. That
had the best part of a year's MOT, and then just basically drive it until the MOT ran out, because I knew it wasn't going to get through the next one, and then just scrap it, get 80, 90 quid back on it, buy another 250 quid car. And then I started...
Were you insuring them though?
Oh yeah. No. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't.
But is it not more expensive to insure it than it is to buy a £250 car?
Not originally.
Right.
Because what happened was when I started to learn to drive, I was like about late 20s or 30 when I actually learned to properly drive.
Yeah.
I kept putting it off, and I had my dad's car, which was a shitey Ford Fiesta.
Yeah.
And then he got ill, so I'm like, right, well, I'm going to take over doing the driving. And he died before I managed to pass my test. So I passed my test, I think, 3 months after he died, and inherited his car. But they gave us the option of taking on his insurance.
Right.
And his insurance had been running since 1963. So my first car cost me £103 fully comp for the year.
Wow.
So I'm like, we're keeping all of this.
Yeah.
And it was a really good policy as well, because it was any driver. My mother was the name policy holder, because they handed it on to her as the spouse, and it said any named driver with the permission of the policy holder.
Yeah.
So she's like, right, that's you.
Yeah.
But of course, insurance being insurance, as the years went by, they started to put a bit more on. Then eventually one day they realised that we'd actually got a fantastic policy, which they didn't do anymore. This is a policy from the 60s, and they changed it all. That was about 10 years ago.
Wow. And so you were buying other cars and putting them onto that policy?
Yeah, we just kept the policy open, just kept changing it. It's a substitution of vehicle.
And then they got to the point where they said, no more.
Well, I think they realised how good a deal we'd got, because it was a policy that had gone unnoticed. Because my mother's next door neighbour had been insurance. She's like, no, I've never heard of a policy like this. Yeah. I had to take it round and show it and go, no, it is. because the bloody old crew, aren't they? Old style.
Yeah.
They don't believe anything unless it's put in the face, and not then sometimes.
Yeah.
Although there must be something wrong with that.
That's fake. Yeah, there's a
I've
mistake.
never heard of this.
Yeah. If I've never heard of it, it doesn't exist.
But
Classic.
to be fair, I don't like my mother's neighbours anymore. So, particularly since she died. That's my mother, that is not the neighbour.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I didn't want to ask if your mum was dead or not. I didn't want to take it down a tragic path again.
Yeah, there we go. Broken necks. People dying everywhere. Suicide.
Have you got any positive stories? Anything good happened to you in your life?
Oh, I'll have to think about that one. No, actually, I thought it was last year. This last year's been quite good. Because what happened was I went to Edinburgh. The last time I performed at Edinburgh was 2009.
Mm-hmm.
And it was my fifth Edinburgh I think I've been to.
Okay.
And the two preceding ones to that had been fantastic. I stepped up. In 2007, I stood in for somebody else because somebody dropped out, and they asked me. It was back in the days of the Great Big Comedy Picnic, and I was up there for about 11 days or something. I had a fantastic run. I didn't have one bad gig. Then I went back the year after as part of a sketch group, and that was even better. I had a fantastic time. And then in January 2009, my co-writer died.
Oh.
So that suddenly came to an end. So I went to Edinburgh doing like a part of like the Comedy Picnic, which is a compilation show of different acts.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, I'm due a death because I've had two good runs.
A death on stage.
Oh,
you mean?
yeah. And I got like 8 in a row.
Oh no!
Well, the ironic thing is, I think it was the year of bird flu, and loads of people dropped out
Because of bird flu?
Yeah,
because they got it or they were scared of it?
Avian flu. No, they got it. Avian flu put people out the game. So there were quite a lot of.
Because we heard about bird flu in Australia, but I didn't know of anyone actually ever getting it.
I think it was it avian flu or swine flu that year? I think it was avian.
Was it, what year was it? 2009?
Yeah.
Bird flu.
Was it, yeah. We inherited.
Swine was 2011, wasn't it?
Oh God, you probably got a better memory than me.
Because that's 9 years ago. That seems like when swine flu was, and bird flu was before that. Because I was still.
It was avian, yeah.
No, it was. No, it could have been swine actually, because Tamiflu, the medication, I remember because we were in New Zealand, right, and Tamiflu was the cure they were getting for bird flu, and the New Zealand media, because I was still living in New Zealand at that time, were panicking because they'd only been sent a very, very small amount of this Tamiflu medication, and they were just like, we better hope that bird flu doesn't come to New Zealand, and no one got fucking bird flu in New Zealand. We were well away from what was going on, but the New Zealand media was just beating it up, being like, we've been forgotten, we've been rejected, like, you know what I mean? And the doctors were just like, no fucking bird flu, you fucking idiots, like.
Well, it hit Edinburgh. Well, as I say, it hit Edinburgh. I think we inherited another show because the cast came down with bird flu, or most of them. So we were doing 2 shows a day.
Well, couldn't it kill you? The bird flu?
I'm not sure.
Are you I feel like it was killing people. Did any of these people die?
But not as I know of.
Are you taking us to a sad story again?
No. Well,
everyone I knew got bird flu.
No, nothing that serious. But we inherited another show in the afternoon.
Okay.
Just up the road. But ironically, it was. So people were turning up to this venue expecting a play and getting 4 comedians.
Okay.
And the play they were looking for, ironically, was called A Fate Worse Than Death. Actually, it's not ironic. It's quite fitting. Because that's what I got. Every bloody day, died on my arse.
Because they were expecting a play and they got you.
So, yeah, we were
joking about bird flu.
Well, I wasn't joking about it. So the last Edinburgh I went to, I didn't have a good time. I forgot where I was heading with that. Cause
you were supposed to be telling me about your positive year.
Positive, yeah.
2019 was a good one for you.
Yeah, it was. The whole point was I came back from Edinburgh in 2009, and that was when I started. I used to do the magic trick, the magic act, and then I phased it out slowly because the only reason I kept it until that point is because it had never died.
Yeah,
it's quite a visual.
And then after that, Edinburgh.
And after Edinburgh, I'm like, I came back with my tail between my legs thinking, this is just dreadful.
Yeah.
I can chain smoke myself into a corner.
I think you should bring the magic back.
Well, what happened was, I then ended up comparing. Somebody gave me a comparing slot at an afternoon on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And I just really enjoyed getting up there with no game plan, just doing the bits in between, just goofing about. And it kind of stuck for a number of years, is that my act became a bit secondary to the fact that I like just getting up there and doing nothing. Well, let's say not doing nothing planned.
I prefer comparing as well.
Yeah, it's
Sitting down and writing material is difficult.
And then what happened was Adam Amwar started to come. It was him and Shaz came down, and because they didn't know there was a local Bolton. I mean, I've been doing this show for I don't know how many years. It's the greatest secret.
Yeah.
Greatest show never seen. He's going to put on the posters. And he came down, he's like, wow. And that was it. He started dragging me back into it. So he'd set up about 4 comedy nights. I think I met you through Rill, didn't I?
Yeah.
We did Rill. And there was other people coming along, and I said to him, look, it's an open night, but the deal is, if you'll come and do my open night, I'll come and do yours for now. So like Rill, they said, yeah, come over. So there's been a couple of shows that I was doing like that, but Adam came along and he's basically dragged me back into it. So I had to kind of discipline myself into 10-minute acts again, going away and having to structure things. So it was good for the discipline, and it was also good to actually go out there and start enjoying doing stand-up again, because I hadn't. Well, I say I hadn't.
Because when I first met you, you said, I'm not going to perform again. And that was when I think I was there for Adam's first night at Northern Monkey in Nelson Square. The first one he did, and you came to see what was going on. That was the first time I met you. I was like, oh, are you going to perform? And you go, no, I don't perform. That's what he said to me. And then, not 5 months later, you were driving me to a gig to perform.
Yeah, well, they dragged me in and said, all right, I've got these gigs going, I'll put you down for them. So, all right. And then I kind of went along with no expectations, and they were all really good gigs.
Yeah.
And then it started to happen again. I started going out gigging, and you started getting it right.
There's now a Bolton scene.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Bloody Bolton news. The Tom Bowler of facts, as we like to call it.
Because he has had a couple of articles in the newspaper, hasn't he, Adam?
Oh yeah, he's pretty big. He's pretty big on his publicity.
Yeah.
Which is something that's kind of lacking. Although having said that, though, we changed landlords, and since we changed landlords at the Alma, it's much more prolific on the advertising side. You see, back in the old days when I first opened it, because it seems to be that one of the rites of passage when I started doing it in like 2002, 2003, is you do your first year and you manage to get 70 gigs or whatever, and then it seems to be a rite of passage that you start an open night at your local pub.
Yeah.
Which is what I did. But at the time I was working in the library at Bolton University, a couple of different campuses. And because I was doing that, they let me advertise. And we got a big student following.
Yeah.
This time round, when I was going around trying to find the old haunts of where I put posters up, they all want money. And I'm like,
yeah,
I'm not being paid, so it means I'm going to have to throw money away every month.
Yeah.
Advertising a show that they might not come to anyway.
Yeah.
So,
how much are they charging for you to put posters up in places?
I'm trying to remember. Well, as soon as they mentioned money at the university, I just...
You're like, yeah.
Yeah, I went into... The red light came on standby, and I went,
yeah.
oh, how dare you. We're trying to, I'm putting it on for free. I'm trying to get interest.
If it's a free event as well, if you should have advertised free events free of charge.
I mean, there were a couple of places around Bolton Town Centre where I advertised, but I don't think anybody ever... Of all the people I asked, how did you find out about this? I don't think any of them ever said, oh yeah, I was in the music shop or I was in the kitchen around the corner, or that,
Yeah, and so saw a poster.
So it's just me going around sticking up posters for nobody to read. Or maybe to sit there and with a cup of coffee and go, oh, yeah, I like the burned effect around this side.
I'm thinking now, like I used to, and I still do, but I'm thinking more about it. Have a guy, Adam John Thompson, that would make my posters for me every week with the acts that were on for that week, so people could see what the lineup was going to be.
Yeah.
But I feel as though that it was not bringing people in, having the people who you don't know who they are as faces up, but having a poster that just says what the event is, having an event on Facebook and rehashing that every week so people know it's there, and promoting that and sharing that online, because that's where people are going to see where the events are. It's better for me to put 15 quid a week into having Facebook advertising than it is to getting a poster made.
Yeah, no, I would say online is the way forward. I don't think, and all the time I was putting posters up, I don't think anybody ever came because of local advertising. I used to do it in my local shop against me better will, because I'm thinking, I stopped doing it eventually, so I'm thinking, do I really want these people at my show? Adam Hughes came doing the show a couple of years back when he was first starting out. Yeah. And he's saying, why are you not on the street pulling people in? You know, it's a Thursday night in Bolton. And I'm like, go and have a walk about and tell me. These are not the sort of people I want sitting in front of me.
18-year-old Adam Hughes getting into comedy. I met Adam when he was 20.
Yeah.
But he was telling me about when he first got into comedy, and he was so enthusiastic, so just not a clue of what's going on. But just wanted to be involved in everything. And tell people how to do everything. The first time he met me, he told me that doing a podcast is a waste of time. And he's been on it about 4 times. This exact podcast, and had one of the highest rating ones in 2018 when I started.
Keep it back to him.
Yeah.
What was it you said back in the?
Well, I told him on the first one. The first one he did, it got like a ridiculous amount of listens, like over 400 listens, right, from all over the world. And then the next one I came on, I said, you know, you're the highest listened podcast this year. He was like, yeah, lad, I told you I was minting podcasts. And I was like, what you actually said to me, Adam, was that having a podcast is a complete waste of time.
Checkable facts.
I didn't have that conversation recorded though. But
that's a shame.
It was actually in Piccadilly Gardens. We were walking through after Holdfast, Wormhole Comedy as it's now termed as. Do you come and gig much in Manchester, or now there's a Bolton scene? You don't really need to.
Here and there. It used to be back in the old days. It was dead easy to find guerrilla places to park, so I could just come in, parking place, like bits of Manchester, and they've all been shut down.
Yeah.
And now Manchester's a control zone.
Yeah.
As I found out, because I compare the Sophie Lancaster.
What does a control zone mean?
Well, it means I turned up and found a fucking fixed penalty on my car because I didn't know that they. Basically, when you travel over the river though, into Manchester city centre, big signs up saying controlled zone, and from that point onwards, it's either like Edinburgh where you have to have a pass for parking, or you have to pay for it.
Everywhere.
Inside the entire control zone of the city centre.
Oh wow!
So unless you can find a scrap of land that's not belonging to Manchester City Council, which is not that easy these days, because over the weekend they never used to patrol. So I used to park it just near the Museum of Science and Industry, just around there. And then 2 years ago,
there's patrols around there all the time now. I see them all the time.
Not like last November, the November before. I came back to my car and there's a fixed penalty on it. I'm like,
yep.
So I took photographs. It doesn't say anything. Yeah, it's because it's at the end of the street. And I ended up paying it against my better judgments.
Isn't there that whole thing about if you don't pay them and if you cause a big stir, then apparently if everyone challenged every fine they got, then they'd probably stop giving out fines because it would be too much hassle for them.
Well, as a person who has a particular attitude to all this, I looked it up online, and the general consensus was, and I don't know how much this has changed, because there's a couple of pages on Facebook about parking tickets, and they basically said if it's your local authority, pay it, because they'll just hound you.
Right.
But if it's not, fuck them. Just do what you like, because they're not going to chase you. And I had one from Chorley. I went shopping, and I got there, and I thought it said free parking up until 3 p.m. and it was 2 o'clock. So I jumped out the car, ran round Charlie, came back just before 3, and there's a ticket. So I went over and looked at it, and it says free parking from 3 o'clock.
Oh no!
So I tried explaining that to him, and no, they weren't having that. So we had this kind of liaison backwards and forwards a few times. And then eventually I went, do you know what, I can't be bothered. So, and I never heard from them again. They sent me a couple of tickets and never heard from them again. Because it's not worth them enforcing it. They can sell it on.
Yeah.
But same again with them, just tell them to go away.
Yeah.
It
is interesting, but even like speeding fines that you get from the government and whatever, if they say there was this guy in Australia, right, and he did it, and he said if everyone did this, we would stop getting speed cameras, because speed cameras here in the UK are a joke. You have the fixed speed cameras occasionally where everyone knows where they are, and you watch them, even in those like dash cam videos, you see people slow down for them because they know where they are, and then they speed up again as soon as they go past. Whereas in Australia, they've got speed cameras on trailers that they move every morning. So every morning you wake up and the trailer's been moved to somewhere else. So you never know where those speed cameras are. Then you've got the ones in the back of vans and cars that are hidden. Then you've got police with radar guns on bridges, in trees, in wherever. They're everywhere. They're always trying to get you. Speeding fines are the number one revenue for the police and the government, okay? So this guy said he got the speeding fine, said you can either pay the speeding fine, go onto a payment plan, or you can challenge in court. He opted for the challenge in court option, right? Yeah. So then they had to set the court date. Now, the courts are filled with all sorts of rubbish, right? So you're probably waiting about 3 to 4 months until you actually get a date to stand in front of a magistrate. So you wait till that day. Then on the day, you say, I'm not going to be able to make court, I'm unwell. You go to the doctor, you get a medical certificate, you do it there. Now, the thing is they've had to prepare like you were going to be there on the day as well. So they've had to put someone, they've had to allocate time for someone to sit down and go through what the evidence is, get someone to the court and whatever. And ideally, they'd already gone to the court when they find out you're not going to be there. So then they go back, they reset the court date. You do it again, you do it again, you do it again. And he did it 4 times until they just stopped. And he said, if everyone did this, if you just fill up the court's time and waste time, they will just stop doing it.
It's,
what do you think? Are you with me?
It's kind of like filibustering, isn't it?
I don't know what that is.
It's basically how politicians waste time.
Okay.
If it's like
Isn't that called like just a meeting in the House of Commons, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I can't remember. It was some MP was describing what happened in the House of Commons, and basically people just talk at length about nothing to waste the time, because there's only so much time allocated, and they've got to listen to all of these different things in the House of Commons, and basically somebody gets up there and just waffles for 2 hours and murders all of your time. And that's basically filibustering. So
it means that you can't bring towards your issues. So are they doing it because they know you've got something to say?
Oh, yeah. It's done on purpose. It's a recognised... It's basically them being long-winded on purpose, so that you don't get to say what you want to say that day.
And then do you have to wait again and come back prepared to do it all again the next time?
Yeah, but I think quite a lot of the time it'll be something else next week. You know, so you may not get your chance.
Unbelievable.
But yeah, I mean, if I was in France, they had pop-up ones in barriers. Went past, somebody shot past us, and this camera popped up out this barrier, took a photograph, and popped back down again.
No way!
And I'm like, that's sneaky, that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they did say that because there was a group that was like a consumer people of the government, or people against the government type group, that were like, the fact that there's secret speed cameras around, they made the police make a justification as to why do we have speed cameras? What are they there for? And the police's response were, they're in the interest of public safety. And they said, well, in the interest of public safety, the public should know about the speed cameras. So now on the radio report, you'll get like $10, or you'll get a mention on the radio if you ring up and tell them where a speed camera is. So you can listen, and they'll be like, oh, there's a radar on so-and-so road, thanks to whoever, or sometimes they'll pay you for it or whatever. So there's a motivation for you to ring up and tell people where the radars are, and it's in the interest of public safety. So the public need to know where the speed cameras are, right? So they can stay safe.
Well, this is it. It's that balance, isn't it? They've got to try and make it look like it's in the public's interest rather than it being a money-making scheme.
Absolutely. Absolutely, and that's why they encourage us to tell them where things are. But people still get caught by I lost my license from speeding.
Not in this country.
No, in Australia. I've not driven here because it costs £40 to get a British license, and that's not the expensive bit. It's the getting the car and the insurance and everything else. Because I've not racked up any no claims. I'd just be green. I'd be like a learner.
There's a reason we're called Rip Off Britain.
Yeah.
Although I've been to Switzerland.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
What do you think of Switzerland?
I loved it.
Expensive,
but €8.50 a pint, Guinness. and I hadn't been to Edinburgh for, what was this, 2018? We basically, the van we were in broke down several times through Italy, and then eventually in France on the way back, and that was it, game over.
Yeah.
So I flew back, and I still had about a week, 10 days holiday left. So my boss said, just take it. So I went and did the last weekend of Edinburgh.
Yeah.
And it's the first time I've actually been there and not complained about beer prices. Because I've just come back from Switzerland and I'm like, £5.50 a pint, that's almost affordable.
Yeah. It's wonderful.
Normally I'm like, sat there going, how much?
How much were the pints of beer and the dog and partridge?
£3.40 for the same pint in bloody Bolton.
What about at the dog back in the day?
Oh, probably a bit cheaper than that. Dog and partridge, about £3.20, something like that.
There's a pub just down there called the Bricklayers Arms at the end of the road here, and you can get a pint of Diamond Lager from James, whatever that brewery is. It's the same one that's at the Comedy Balloon. James and something.
Oh, Joseph Holt's.
Joseph Holt, yeah. It's £2.25.
Joseph Holt's better. My God.
I found it when I first moved there. I said, this will be my local pub. I'll be back here every week. And I think I've been twice.
I'm an extravagant Guinness drinker. I don't know if that's product placement or anything, but that's all I ever drink.
What about other stouts, or do you just like Guinness?
I have to say, I think the finest pint of stout I ever drank was, I think it was in Thirsk, so it was somewhere in North Yorkshire.
Yeah.
In fact, it probably wasn't Thirsk, it was probably a bit out in the sticks. And it was a pint of Beamish.
Beamish?
Yeah, and you never see Beamish. I've only ever seen it in a can, and you don't even see it in a can these days. And I can't remember who used to brew it. It's like a rival to Guinness.
I don't even know what Beamish is.
It's kind of like Guinness, but a bit stronger tasting.
Hectic.
And it was lovely. But,
just reminiscing about great stouts you've had.
I've never seen it on tap anywhere else, and I was like, and I can't remember where it was.
I'm trying to should we do a Google? It's called Beamish.
Beamish.
Is this is this your tip for young players? Is it?
if they still sell it, I think Beamish.
Beamish Stout UK. Here we go. Beamish Irish Stout. Where would any idea where I can get Beamish in England? My dad goes on about this stuff. He used to rather like drinking, but it seems to have been discontinued in the UK a while ago. Only sold in Ireland and America. Have been looking online for retailers, but no luck. Has anyone figured out where I can get it? I believe Heineken stopped bringing it to the US when they purchased Murphy's. Not seen Beamish in the 75 miles. Seen any Beamish 75 miles from Philadelphia. I realise you're looking for it in England, but I think it holds true in England as well.
I've not seen it for a while. Murphy's is nice.
Yeah.
But I've had a couple of English stouts and we just don't get it.
Yeah, the really Beamish, it says here, the Beamish Stout. Oh, you wankers. Hang on, give it back to me. The Beamish Stout is available on draft and in 500ml cans throughout the Republic of Ireland. However, at present, we do not export to countries outside of the IE. So, there we go, mate. Looks like we're having a trip to Dublin. Hey?
I've not been. I've never been.
You've never been?
No.
Have you got a passport?
Yeah, I do.
We should go.
No, I'm all for it. I mean,
we'll have a great time.
It's literally across the water and I've never been.
Oh my goodness gracious.
But having said that, until I went to Europe in 2018, I haven't been out the country since 2000.
Really?
And that was only because I got a cheap ticket to Ibiza. Which cost me 25 quid.
Good time. That's literally what I'm doing this year. Is just whenever Ryanair's got cheap flights, I'm flying somewhere. Whatever the cheapest flight was, every 2 or 3 weeks, I'm going to a new country, But all the trips return under sort of £80 is like my maximum. Under 80, so wherever I'm going, you'd be surprised how far I'm able to go on 80 quid.
That's just my problem was in Switzerland, because when the van broke down, I had to take my boss up to Dunkirk to drop him off to get the ferry back, and then take the car back to the Alsace. And just to put it into perspective, that's a 480 mile trip. Right? So I did like nearly 1,000 miles in 48 hours.
What?
That set up a few cameras. Only one of them though caught up with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a different story.
But why did you have to go to Dunkirk so he could get the ferry? Why couldn't he just fly?
Because, well, they booked a flight out of there.
Right.
And then at the last minute, France completely welched on the deal, which I don't know, that's a slur.
I think it's welched.
Yeah. Okay, we're in the clear. Welched on the deal.
Yeah. If you're a welcher, it's like you're doing something and then you go back on.
I am part Welsh, so I'm allowed to.
Yeah.
But yeah, when they found out he had an assistant dog, and like he's got a proper big armoured wheelchair, they were like, no.
Really?
And they didn't even pay him the money back either. I think they had to like. So it was like, right, you're going to have to drive us. And I found this out the day before, and I'm like, oh god, that was a hell of a drive. But at least I got to do it in the daylight on the way back.
Yeah.
So I get to see all of France. Beautiful country. Absolutely beautiful.
And how much was it a rental car that you had?
Yeah.
Right.
But because it was rented through disabled class, it was unlimited mileage. So I'm like,
happy days.
So yeah, I did about 1,000 miles in that, and then I went to Switzerland because we're on the French-Swiss border. So I went to Gruyere because I wanted to see HR Giga, they call him.
So the reason you went on holiday was because the guy from the motorbike accident that just can't use his fingers was having you there as his assistant or whatever?
Well, I was mainly there to do the driving because I used to be a minibus driver.
Right.
So I was kind of doing bits and pieces of what my normal job would have been. Yeah. But a lot of what I was doing was spent driving.
Yeah. And he was just having a holiday?
Yeah.
Cool. Happy days.
Well, his wife was with him, so I mean, she kind of like took over that side of things.
Yeah. Cool. Easy for you. Well, look, we've done over an hour. Is there anyone that you'd like to thank or anything you want to promote before we go?
Yeah, I'd like to thank... I want to thank Adam Anwar for dragging me back into this game and keep giving me gigs and turning up and, all the positivity. I'd like to plug my book very quickly, which... what day are we on now? It's about 3 days, I think, since I published.
Sunday the 5th of January.
Alright, yeah, it'd be about the... No, it was the 31st.
Okay.
6 days. Which is Captain Invincible and his apocalyptically hot army. With the subtext, How I Embraced Armageddon and Learned to Love Again. By Emilio Swobinitsky the Mighty. From all good Kindle... Well, it's Amazon. It's on Amazon, so,
So you can get it published or a digital copy?
Yeah, I mean, it's £2.28 a copy on Kindle. So, I've hit the big time.
Very reasonable.
Yeah.
Have you had any money come back through yet?
Oh, I made £9 one.
Okay.
In 2 days.
That's good.
I mean, these are all the sympathy sales you get when you advertise it on Facebook and people go, you've written a book?
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
I don't read, so I won't be buying it.
The awful thing is, as an author, you think I read a lot more, and I don't. I read a lot online, but when it comes to books, it's narcotic. I used to read before I go to sleep, and I would wake up with the book on me, and I couldn't remember anything I've read. So on the night after, I go back to bed and I read the same 2 pages, fall asleep, and not remember them. So I'm like, well, I'm kind of wasting my time here. I've always been more of a films kind of, visual person. Yeah. That's my autism.
Well, look, make sure you go out and get the book. I've had 2 book promotions back to back, but maybe I'll write a book. Who knows?
Well, it was triggered by somebody else.
Yeah. Do you want a cookie?
Do you know what? It would be, seeing as we're still Christmas, it would be...
I can't even get them open. There you go. Enjoy a cookie. The Mighty Swob, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, thank you very much.